I'm just impressed how they did it. It was a spectacular comeback, but we'll let the analysts talk about that.
Yeah, back to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much there, Lumi and LD. And what a victory, what a first kind of lower bracket game. Dignitas came out, the Timber was there, the Wisp was there. It was going to be an entertaining game no matter what. There was a lot of kind of hesitation around the mid area, the mid section of the game, but then they just showed their potential, their lineup, and how well they played. So what do you guys make of it overall?
Dignitas, whenever Rattlesnake got a kill, they made them pay a lot for it, whether it just be a lot of time wasted or just being able to split push with Wisp and or Furion constantly. That T1 tower in mid stayed up the whole entire game. And Timbersaw was their second pick, and I thought that Sneyking played it pretty well, even though he missed a Timber Chain here or there and gave up first blood, but still pretty fantastic performance from Dignitas.
It seemed like Rattlesnake didn't really have a plan to sort of counter Universe's Nature's Prophet, because every time they did anything, like they clumped up in the middle lane, but he just took out a tier 2 tower when they ganked one hero, they got the Wisp out of it. They never got the middle tower, and they just ran around doing nothing. I think by the end of it, their game plan was just to get a Divine Rapier and an Aegis up on the Gyrocopter and go straight down through middle lane, but by that point in time it was way too late. I think the fight in the middle lane was obviously the deciding factor. That's where they lost three Raxes, and that was just, Rattlesnake initiated with Siren's Sleep, and way too sexy. No, not way too sexy, but Sneyking and Fogged on the Wisp just executed all three of them with a great tether combo.
Yeah, so we actually do have some highlights from some of the moments of the game, so we'll go to that. And as expected, most of the highlights will be around the Wisp, and this was the first real gank with the Wisp TP. And as mentioned, LD and Lumi said, they're so strong right now, they're ganking kind of strength heroes. They were able to do that, and they picked up the tower. And of course, here's the Song of the Siren, and this is the big play from the Rubik hero, who I believe was way too sexy. Ends up stealing the song and turns the whole thing around. Fogged comes in on the Wisp, and then that's got to be demoralizing when you're Rattlesnake, because you just know you got massively outplayed in that moment. Excellent play by Way Too Sexy on the Rubik.
I think that's one of the better plays we've seen in this tournament. I haven't seen every single game, but I would point this out as a very, very fine...
It's definitely up there in the top three right now.
Yeah, definitely.
It is very interesting when we see teams pick Wisp. I mean, there's a reason why it's one of the most banned heroes. We normally say that it's very hard to play against Wisp because it forces you to play differently. And some people say, okay, that means that you can't go alone because you will get ganked by the Wisp. And it's not only that, it's the fact that you have the Wisp and the Nature's Prophet at the same time made it so. Yes, okay, so you may not be alone, you may be with people, but when the Wisp jumped into a team fight, the Timbersaw was there, Morphling was there, it was the split pushing power of the Nature's Prophet, taking towers, taking Raxes, just getting something out of it. I think this was... I would even go ahead and say they were tactical fitting. Now, you're an expert on tactical fitting. Is it a thing?
I am an expert, and it's... it's a toss-up. When you sacrifice one hero, especially if it's a Wisp, like a support player, getting a tier 2 tower in the trade, I think that's a good trade. And you get a lot of farm up on Nature's Prophet, you get a lot of farm and space for the Morphling, which they really needed in the early game, because Aoi didn't have much farm, but all of a sudden he comes out with the Linken Sphere and, the shotgun, so there's just not much Rattlesnake could actually do, because every time they chased around, the only ones they could find was Rubik or Wisp.
Exactly.
And of course, the Timbersaw is pretty hard to lock down, as we saw with the reactive armor. And speaking of Timbersaw, that was played by Sneyking, which is where we're going next, because Casey has an interview.
Hello, guys. Yeah, they just, like at the moment that you said that, they tossed it down to us. I am with Sneyking. He was just asking me. We've actually been having a nice little conversation here for a while. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
And we were comparing stories about nerves. When I get nervous, I get really sweaty, and you were saying the opposite.
Yes, my hands it gets very cold, and I constantly have to use the bathroom. And right now, I'm in the booth, and there's no bathroom to use. It's kind of, yeah.
And we think your teammates thank you for not using the bathroom anyway while you're in the booth.
Yes.
So tell me about how you dealt with the nerves going into this match. I can imagine, one and done is a little bit more pressure, but you were telling me earlier that the pressure is pressure no matter what kind of a game you're playing.
Yeah, every game, even during the group stage, I was very nervous going into it because this is my first biggest tournament I've ever played in, and I'm very excited, but at the same time, the nerves are definitely kicking in, and I'm looking forward to play Orange.
I want to ask you about Rattlesnake first. Them being a relatively newer team compared to all the other teams here, did that make it more difficult for you guys to actually study up on them and be prepared for them coming into this round?
Luckily, we were able to study the 14 games they played in the group stage, and their play style was very sort of predictable. They run a very obvious tri-core with obvious lanes, and we were able to prepare for that ahead of time. And the Timbersaw pick was just really direct counter to this strength melee tanky tri-core that they like to run.
Were there any moments in tonight's game that you thought that you got a little worried that maybe you weren't going to be able to pull it off?
Our early game was very shaky. We basically lost every single lane, and in fact we did. And that bad start was definitely kicking in for my nerves. And but as soon as we progressed through the mid game phase and we were able to get a few kills on a gyro, we immediately took advantage of that and took the top racks and the middle racks. And from then it was pretty much game over.
So you mentioned looking forward to Orange. How nervous are you? Because you have to, there's a really tight turnaround now, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. How are you going to handle your nerves, and what are you most looking forward to?
Probably use the bathroom first, and then I'll be drinking a lot of water. Well, I don't know why I'm doing that, but it just helps me.
Maybe balance the water a little bit.
Yeah, the water calms me down.
What about Orange do you think you can expect and anticipate? What have you studied up on as far as getting ready for them? You don't have to reveal anything, please. But are you looking forward to them as a challenging opponent?
Yes, this is our first game actually against Orange in general, and we have never played them before, and we have a few strategies prepared for them, but
No, you don't have to tell.
Determined.
Your secret is safe with us. Snaking, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go so that you can actually get prepared for the next game. Best of luck. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again soon. And James, I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Thank you, Casey. So there we have it. That was Snaking, and we can take a look actually now, if we want to, some of his Timbersaw either escapades, as we will say, but he, the amount of damage he was able to kind of put out. And this was the fight that, Ben, you actually said that they shouldn't have taken.
Yeah, the homing missile misses, the cuddle wave goes off, there's no call down, it's a little bit late, and if they lose one big fight, they just sweep their Rex, whereas if Dignitas loses a fight, they just lose a T1, maybe a T2, maybe Roshan, which is not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I think the big, you kind of nailed this one as well. The homing missile didn't hit, and also the wave from...
Yeah, that could have instantly killed the Wiz, and they delayed the Song of Siren long enough so that he was able to tether again. He tethered once, and then they slept, and then let it go for the full duration, and another Tether to Sun just set things up for them.
All right, anything to add, guys? Bruno, what have you got?
I wanted to point out the thing that we saw a Naga, Siren, a Morphling, and a Wisp, and it kind of reminded me of TI2. So I was looking a little bit behind on stats from the last year, and I wanted to compare a little bit just to know where we are. Morphling in TI2, he was picked 78 times with a 58% win rate. This year, just 6. And I mean, he showed to be a very strong hero when you can actually make it work. He's not weak at all. It's just, it's harder to make a lineup work around it.
What's his win rate this year?
It's actually 75%, but just in 6 matches, so it's not that much. So then we have Naga, which was, the win rates are pretty better right now. They're actually 53 versus 37. But it was banned 133 times last year because that was the pick you wanted to ban every time. Kind of like this year's Bad Rider. This year only 28 times. And the Wiz surprisingly has pretty much the same amount of picks, 14 versus 16, and it keeps a 57% win rate, which is strong, but it's only strong because people do not let Wisp go so much. If Wisp was normally picked, I would believe that it would be much higher.
Yeah, but there's a big change in the way Siren is played this year. Last year we saw her as a primary carry, and then teams would farm up Lincolns and everything on it. This year, it's a support hero, pretty much in almost all games.
Which one do you like the most? I mean, if you were now captain in a team and you had to get a Naga Siren, would you pick her as a support, as a main carry, maybe as a mid?
I like her as a secondary carry that can set up the fight. I mean, I understand the support craze of her, but I just feel the hero really goes out of favor as soon as you don't have the lineup to back it up with. If you don't have a Dark Zero and Enigma, I just don't see the point of it.
Yeah, I really like her as a mid hero personally. I think she needs a lot of levels, and if her illusions can actually do damage with just actually tank up and Riptide maybe twice in a fight, or just have Diffusal burn, it's a lot of damage.
Definitely.
And what do you guys think of Timbersaw mid? And we can actually bring up some stats on that as well. We've got Snaking with his matchup versus Icy which was obviously the Weaver that he went up mid. But how did that matchup work for you?
Well, I mean, look at the heroes, and Weaver will always do more with the farm. But the thing about Timbersaw is a pick that I personally like a lot, because it's all about mobility, it's all about outplaying your opponent, mind games, and all you need is Bloodstone. Because once you get the Bloodstone, you get all the infinite mana, you're very, very tanky. The Plate Mail is amazing, because even if you don't go for a Shiva, which is normally what you don't go for a Cuirass because you're not a right clicker, the fact that you have the armor to begin with without actually having to react to get some hits before is huge. On the other side, Weaver, a hero that does a lot but has a slower build-up. You need a BKB or a Lincoln Sphere, otherwise you'll be super squishy, and that's what happened pretty much in this match. With Weaver was getting there, but Timbersaw was already there, and with the Wisp and everything else, it was not enough to make him get to the point.
And the natural item progression in getting Arcane Boots that he can disassemble for the Bloodstone also means a lot. Like 1500 gold, and you got a key item that to farm up your actual item with. So it just goes so really, really fast. Like he just snowballs from minute 12 and onwards, basically. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing pick. Yep. It's actually it's a little bit higher. I don't know now because it changed after this win, but it's just a little bit above 50% win rate. But I think that the hero has a lot of potential, especially even against the Weaver. I don't think it's a favorable matchup, but if we see him against Alchemist or DK, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they're going to have in store for us a little bit later in terms of heroes, because Dignitas will be returning to the stage today. But of course, we're going to be going into our next match, which will be LGD International versus Mousesports. We will have the intros in just a moment, but looking forward to this game because I can't predict a winner from this one. I think it's. You said LGD Int.
I'll go with LGD Int as well.
I think it's even.
I want to say Mouse.
Let's have you two root for Mouse, and then Ben and I can root for LGD Int, and we can throw a party once we won our little matchup.
Well, that just sounds like you're really biased. I just want both teams
biased?
to enjoy
I'm just very
the game.
confident in my own predictions. I thought you were too.
Huh? Yeah. I'm doing really good on Twitter. It's going horribly wrong for me. But either way, let's meet the teams.
Hi, my name is Braxton Paulson. My gamer tag is Brax. I'm from Garden Grove, California, and I play for LG International. There are definitely sacrifices going to China. You know, you leave everything you have behind to pursue what you want to do. You're working towards something you really, really want, but you're also leaving behind everything else. I was a little anxious about living in China at first because, like, it's a whole new country, you know. I haven't been outside the States before. I didn't really know what to expect. There was definitely that part, but it was also exciting, you know. It's nice to just get out there and see what's out there. Living in a gamer house is probably comparable to a really long boot camp. You get to live with each person, and you get used to their views on the game, and you pretty much become friends all around. Training for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week does get exhausting after a while, but once you get used to it, you can really start to enjoy it. If LGD International faces LGD China in the grand finals, then we're going to win, because we always beat LGD China. We've always actually played really good against them. Winning the International, to me, means a dream come true. You know, all your hard work that you've put towards this pays off and really makes, like, a huge difference in your life. There's a lot of people coming to see me, a lot of my friends and family from back home. My grandma, my grandpa, my little brother, and my dad are coming. Mom, you should be here because I miss you.
Theban Siva, 1437, Toronto, Canada.
Braxton Paulson, Brax, Garden Grove, California.
Sergey Bragin, G, St. Petersburg, Russia.
Rasmus Bert Philipsen, Misery, Copenhagen, Denmark.
Per Anders Pajkat, Stockholm, Sweden.
So they're the 5 members of LGD International. Now, of course, this team was invited here. They've got a lot of experience, and when they first went over to China, as you saw, they were talking about their Brax, they did amazing. Lately, not so well, and I know for a fact that they are not happy with their prelims in the previous days, but it's still a tournament they can win. It's still a game they can win versus Mousesports. But what do you guys think?
Both teams have a sort of equal amount of wins, 4 against 5 wins. But as we were saying earlier, I think LGD International has the more impressive wins, beating IG once and beating Tongfu 2-0. On top of that, they probably have a harder time against the enemies they face off in China than what Mousesports has been playing. Also because Mousesports plays mostly online, whereas LGDN is constantly thrown into LAN fire against some of the world's most experienced LAN teams. So it's definitely different settings for them to go under. Also, because of the huge amount of LAN play they have together, I think they're the clear-cut favorites going into this match, because Mousesports have only had, with Sunren as their captain, 2 LANs to play, whereas and 1 week of boot camp, whereas LGD International has been boot camping since TI2.
All right, yeah, and as you mentioned,
Wow.
Hopefully that wasn't me, but I think it was, I don't know. Either way, no one move. We're going to Mousesports.
My real name is Dominik Reitmeier. My nickname is Black. The name of my team is Mousesports, and I'm from Frankfurt in Germany. I finished school like last month, and now I'm just a full-time gamer. Like, I'm trying to take a year off everything, so I can just unlock the full potential that I have and just see where it gets me.
I'm Sinren from Mousesports. My real name is Troels Nielsen, and I'm from Denmark. I joined when the qualifiers for TI3 were coming up. They were interested in a roster switch, so Black contacted me. We had been playing in team before, and so I tried it out, and it worked really well, and ended up hooking up with them.
I think we are like a proven team now, because there's so many invited teams where people say, yeah, they didn't earn their invite, or they don't deserve their invite. We earned our spot. It's actually a pretty big deal. Like in the qualifier, we got dropped down to the loser bracket by DD, which is now Quantic. And then we just had this like 1-hour talk about what went wrong, what we should do. And we just motivated ourselves. But a part of it was this YouTube video. It's called The Greatest Motivation Speech Ever. I just sent that to everyone, and they looked at it, and then they watched it. That was pretty much our motivation speech. And then we just smashed through the lower bracket into the grand finals and won that 3-1. And ever since then, we just had this motivation and this, our friendship improved. We got much better individually. Just everything changed after that speech.
Every time we had our backs against the wall, everyone just performed so much better.
If I win the international this year, the first thing I'll do is like go home and tell them about it, and they would probably freak out. And then we'd just like celebrate together. And with the money, I would probably buy like, a house for my family.
The first thing I would do would be obviously being extremely proud and going a bit crazy, and then trying to, I wouldn't say get back to reality, because this is our reality, but it's still something very special and kind of the pinnacle of the year for our game. So
winning international is really unique, and there's only like 5 players in a year that can do it. You can't really prepare anyone for something as big as this. And I don't think you can really prevent from getting nervous. It's like impossible in an event with that magnitude.
Dominik Reitmeier, Black, Frankfurt, Germany.
Adrian Trinks, Vater, Berlin, Germany.
Pascal Lohmeier, Pass, Minden, Germany.
Max Bröcker, Quoiqua, Stuttgart, Germany.
Troels Nielsen, Sinren, Aalborg, Denmark.
So Mousesports, the German organization with 4 German players, and of course Sinderen from Denmark, who is filling in not filling in, but has taken the captain role. And also Black within the team is considered one of the best farmers in terms of carry players. Not just farmers, he's not just good at clicking, he's good at also playing the carry in other roles in Europe. So I feel they're a force to be reckoned with, but you guys think they're a little bit too predictable?
A bit too predictable. They're definitely a force to be reckoned with. Don't get me wrong, Mouse is a super strong team. They won the qualifiers, and they've really proven their worth over the past 2 months, but they're a bit too predictable, just like you said.
All right, okay. Well, we'll leave it on that. But yeah, of course, LGD International, they came out really strong earlier in the year, had a little hard time. They're going to want to win this game, of course. And also, Mousesports have been doing fantastically well until they met Na'Vi in the D2L, and they got beaten pretty hard. And so far, they might need to change things up to win this match. And this match is, of course, another best of 1, because it's the lower bracket game. So we're going to send it to the hall for the match to start.
LGD Gaming International versus Mousesports.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Battle Royale Hall, home of the Seattle Symphony, as we watch Mouseport on Radiant and LGD Gaming International on the Dire. This is a lower bracket match. I am Luminous Inverse, and of course, my partner in crime, as always, Zaldi Dota.
Hey Lumi, good to be back with you. It's 2 of 4 best of ones for the day, guys. Loser of every single match is going home. By the time today is done, 4 teams will have been eliminated from the International 3. With that being said, the draft is well underway. We'll get into it. A quick recap. The Chen was first picked by LGD International. The reply from Mousesports, a Prophet and a Puck. LGD in the second stage of the bans. They'll ban out a Visage and Black's anti-mage. We talked about predictability. Well, this has been a go-to, a staple for Mouse for a long time. It is removed. They'll have to find something else. LGDN. Well, the first pick coming out of this stage for Mouse was actually Keeper of the Light, then a Gyrocopter for LGDN. The jury is still out. What is Black going to play this game?
We'll have to wait on that one because Black does have a quite wide of a hero pool, Anti-Mage being one of his really, really favorite hero, but picking Anti-Mage against this pushing lineup of LGD Gaming International could be quite dangerous. Now, we had a little bit of chit-chat.
And it's going to be hard, Libby.
Yeah.
Because he's banned.
Well, you know, Black could transcend time and reality sometimes.
Black's a good anti-mage player. I don't know if even he's that good. That's some next
level. All right, we'll table that one. But talking to some of the players, LG Gaming International believe that Chen is probably their best hero. Having them first pick up that hero is very, very important. LG Gaming loves to go for these pushes that are comprised with very, very tanky stuff. So you have a tanky dragon in the front line, you have like 2-3 Chen creeps, you have a Gyrocopter that's very hard to engage on, and probably they're not done yet. They're probably going to pick up a Beastmaster or something. So you just have like a series of linemen, because everybody's cheering USA. Can we get some football references here? And the real football, obviously, right?
I'll work on the American football references. None coming to my head right now, but LGD International, of course, a wide range of nationalities there up against Mousesports. And what are they going to pick? They've already got 2 of their cores. Generally, when we see them run the Chen, they've liked to do it in the past with a Rubik or a Shadow Demon, probably the ideal partners for setting up kills in the early to mid game. But as of late, they've been playing that combination. When they go for the Chen, they're not really forcing the ganks as much early. It seems like they're slightly more patient, content to farm more early, and then push their advantage later on. Whereas when we first saw this team debut in the G League Season 2, they were dual roaming from level 1. They'd smoke before the creeps even spawn, and they wouldn't stop. This time, though, let's see what they do. They'll go for a Clockwork now, so all 3 farmers secured, most likely just looking for that secondary support.
It's very important you brought that up, because if you just stick with one play style, you're not going to win TI3.
Yeah.
There are just too many good teams here. You just have to adjust, and you have to adapt. And LG Gaming International has been playing push for quite a bit, but if they want to do double roam, they can do double roam. And I'm just watching this draft, and it brings a smile to my face, because I feel like these 2 teams are like taking jabs at each other, because LG Gaming wants to push, right? Keeper of Light picked up to stop your push. And then LG says, no, we got the Clockwork. We're going to hook in, kill you under your tower, and then kill your tower. So it's like counter to your counter to your counter. And where does it end? Does it end with the last pick?
Yeah, well, the game of 1-ups will end soon because the picks are running out for both teams. One more ban for LGDN, and then into Mousesports' final pick. We'll have to find out what Black is going to play. And already 3 of his signature heroes have been removed. The Lone Druid and the Alchemist by Mouse. Phantom Lancer's in the pool. It is an option whenever you see Keeper of the Light.
Oh, come on. Don't give us that.
If you're Mousesports, though. Split push, very strong in general. LG didn't want to push. One of the best ways to beat that back is push the other 2 lanes even faster. So maybe we'll see a Phantom Lancer. It's definitely an option for them here.
I mean, we just saw what Dignitas Universe did on split pushing, 101. And, well, I kind of wish you're wrong sometimes. We're going to be here for a while.
Hey, buddy. This is a big game. Loser goes home.
Yeah.
You pick what you gotta pick.
Well, LG Gaming International has dealt with this before. Takes me back to G League Final, I believe, as they were crashing up the high grounds against IG. It took them quite a bit of a while to do it, like 90 minutes or something like that. But did they actually do it?
They had that game, 30,000 goal lead. Finally, they kicked the front door.
Right. So LG Gaming, it will take a while. But hopefully they can bring home the cape. And it's going to be Vengeful Spirit as the last pickup.
Remember, they are on the Dire side here. So Roshan is something they could go for rather early on. They've got 2 very tanky heroes, the Clockwork, the Dragon Knight. They've got the minus armor. When they get a few Chen creeps in the mid game, for Mousesports, it's very important not to lose their towers early. If they lose their tier 1s and their tier 2s on the bottom and middle lanes, then Roshan is wide open for LGDN.
Yeah, Misery also liked to transition his Vengeful Spirit from a support to kind of like a I guess semi-carries of sort of 3.5 as we agreed on it.
Yeah, normally the secondary support is called the 4 position, the offlaner the 3, but he gets a lot more farm than most.
Yeah, and he just gets quick levels. Swap is going to be a big spell because it doesn't matter if you have Phantom Lancer, if he's out of the base, swapped and dead. And that's exactly what LGD will be looking towards to do.
They're great at just punishing bad positioning in general, and that's really important, not just against the Phantom Lancer who wants to split push, but also against the Nature's Prophet and the Keeper of the Light. To me, those are the 2 players on Mousesports, Synderen, as well as the Nature's Prophet for Koikfa that cannot get caught out too much this game. But with that being said, it's a best of 1, and it's now underway. Loser going home, winner advancing. We'll be playing Fnatic later tonight. Black going to be handling your Phantom Lancer. Synderen on the Keeper of the Light, the captain for this squad. Pas, your support Nyx Assassin. Fata going to the mid lane as the puck has started with an early Null Talisman that puts Koikfa onto his signature hero. It's not even close, the Nature's Prophet. And as for LGD International, Misery on the Vengeful Spirit. Smoke already picked up. 1437, a secondary smoke. Can you spell aggression? Because that's what they want. Brax, or Brax for short on the Clockwork. That leaves G, your solo mid Dragonite rushing the bottle. Has been pulled a single tangos. And last but not least, Pycat, Swedish for Pycat, going to be on the safe lane.
Thank you for that translation. Yeah. That was impressive.
I speak Swedish.
All right. LG Gaming International, we talked about versatility, we talked about predictability, and of course they are going to be running a frontal push strat, but of course they are also going to be double jungling, it seems like, because when you run 2 Smoke of the Sea, you just want to get level 2 on these heroes, you want to pop out jungle and just kill stuff. So LG Gaming, so far, well, they have not seen anything just yet, but they will be dealing with the Nature's Prophet up top.
So they're running an off-lane Clockwork, and whenever we see this, you need to look at how he's going to lane, because Clockwork is an off-laner that can't really go jungle. He's not that good at roaming early on, and I'm looking at a tri-lane that's really going to be able to shut him down. So look for Brax to try and cog block the creeps, keep them away. Well, no, he's not going for it.
He's got no cogs because he took Rocket Flare to scout at level 1, so that's kind of the trade-off you have to make. A lot of players like to cog in awkward areas to mess up the creep equilibrium, but he's just firing rockets now.
Yeah, you can basically trap the creeps over here behind the trees, which will draw the lane back. It makes the enemy wave push towards your tower, so it makes it easier to find experience, but he may not be able to get much done, so then it's up to the rest of the team. And when you go for 2 smokes early on a Venge and a Chen, you expect those 2, Misery and 1437, will be the ones looking to put out the early aggression.
Right, and Mouse Koifa, despite not really doing anything, it seems like, on the top lane, he's actually slowing down the support's experience growth. They are trying to do, look at this, Magic Missile being forced out on a Summon Tree, and you got to stop these kind of holding, and good job by Misery for stopping that. In fact, 2 heroes kind of tangled up over here. Misery says, I got 4 base armor, come at me.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job of zoning Koikfa out of the lane. Generally, Prophet can zone out a lot of supports because he's got good range, a good attack animation, and pretty solid damage, but early on, the wave is going to end up pushing. It's a big push. Koikfa's going to get quite a bit of experience off of this. Of course, LGD getting some decent trades here because they have the jungle Chen. The mid lane for them, we can take a quick look at that. G right now, only 3-1. 7-5 on Fata, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it too much in the draft, but Fata, known for quite a few mid heroes, this is definitely his strongest. This is
one of his best. Also a very cute play here. They just parked the walking courier over here and then upgraded because they're too afraid to use it when there's Koifa in the game. Koifa, master of courier killers. He will kill your couriers, and then next game's 4 couriers as well. He just kills stuff.
Yeah, someday if we have courier kill stats, he'll be on the leaderboard there, and especially when you're Nature's Prophet. Pas, stacking the jungle. So if you're Mouse folks right now, I mean, they're the team where you know exactly what they want to do. And if all you want to do is sit back, protect your towers, farm your Phantom Lancer, which right now Black is getting free farm, and then stack these camps here, get additional gold and experience for your Keeper of the Light, and most importantly, your Nyx Assassin. Because in the mid game, Pas as well as Fata will be a 2-man combo, trying to set up kills every time they get a kill. LGD and that push that we talked about will be delayed. Any Roshan attempt they might want will be impossible. So to me, Mousesports pretty much getting what they want for this laning stage.
Yeah, and if they don't set up those kills, you still want a highly level Keeper of Light to defend those push. So level on the supports more important than ever in this game. Mousesport, Pas on bot lane, zoning out Brax. Now, in the past, Black has gone deep. And when I say deep, I mean he goes Midas first. He goes Battle Fury on carry heroes that sometimes don't get Battle Fury. Are we expecting something like that? Or do you think he's going to go for some quick items that if the push comes, he could help out his team and defend, like a Drums perhaps?
Well, he's definitely not going to go Battle Fury because that doesn't help your illusions at all.
No, I'm not saying this. Maybe your Alchemist, for example.
Yeah, the Midas is a possibility here. I mean, to me, though, it's good against Chen creeps in theory. It's nice, but generally you just want to keep on using Midas as quickly as possible. it's really just up to Mouse Sports how much they expect aggression from LGD.
Radiant's top tower
if I was
is
them,
under
I would
attack.
expect a whole lot of aggression. And going Midas is one of those things that if you die a few times, you're not getting those next items. You offer your team absolutely nothing in the fights. I think to me they've got enough counter push that he doesn't need to go for a Midas. Probably we'll see this the Tranquil Boot straight into the drums, but hey, if they don't put any pressure on, if there aren't any smoke ganks in 3 or 4 minutes, he may well.
Yeah, and so far there hasn't been any smoking. Misery's still only level 2, and that goes back to Koifa up on top lane.
But
Again,
1437 is level 5 already, so he is getting a